Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Alien Protocols. This video is about someone incredibly special, as you can probably already tell just by looking at the screen. I can't express in a short video what this person means not only to me, but I believe to all of us and to humanity. Ingo was such an extraordinary human and a teacher and an explorer and a creator and an artist and a connector and a unifier and just so many wonderful things about Ingo that I think you should hear about, and I think perhaps it might inspire you. I hope it does, as it has me. So Ingo was born in 1933 in Telluride, Colorado, and he died at the end of this month, just 6 years ago, which is really tragic. Of course, he died in the village here in the city. He was such a prominent figure here in the city with his art and his work. Of course, he's well known for his work at SRI with Hal Puthoff, but a lot of people don't know how he started. He started at the City University of New York College, CUNY, with Dr. Gertrude Smigel. And she was doing some experiments on consciousness, and Ingo approached her. They did experiments together with the calorimeters, which basically detect, they're little bottles of air molecules, basically, and they detect changes in entropy, essentially, in temperature. And Ingo was able to affect these on a very tiny level, but consistently able to affect these insulated calorimeters. And so he heard about other experiments, and that Hal was doing these experiments, and other people, and famously was known for saying, why test on plants when you can test on people, and stuff like that. And I believe also there's a famous story about him. I think it was with Hal Puthoff, when they were like, I want you to see what's in the other room. And Ingo said, that's if you want me to do that stuff, I'm going to leave. That's stupid. If I want to go see what's in the other room, I'll go open the door. I can see a lot farther. Give me a real target, a distant target. And so they started giving him really far away targets, and the accuracy, of course, I think even increased over time. And so he's just done so many things, and these things were done in laboratory conditions. Because Ingo was the type of psychic and consciousness explorer, that he was kind of an amateur scientist himself. He went to the scientists, kind of like what we're doing. He wanted the research. He wanted to know the answers behind this stuff. Why does this work? Yes, it's on a very limited scale. It's very tiny, but it's real. It's not like, you can lift cars with your mind, or, but of course the possibility is there, but it's a much, much, much smaller statistical and smaller scale phenomena that works on much tinier energy levels. And he understood that. He understood that consciousness and matter connected. He understood the nature of oneness. And he really explored this topic in so many different ways. The limits of the mind. And, he looks so, when you look at him on the right there, he looks, almost like an accountant. But in a way, he was a scientist. He truly was a scientist, because his exploration and his research was very, very intense. He wrote a lot of books. I think it was 11 total at the end. The total number of books was 11. But what a stunning artist. What beautiful art he did. I mean, look at this stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous. He worked for the United Nations. A lot of people didn't know that. And he worked with a lot of different brain and science programs, basically, essentially trying to get a greater understanding of the mind. There's a famous experiment where they said someone came in, I think they were from NASA. Forgive me if I get this story not exactly correct. And it's this story about the rings around Jupiter, where they were going to Jupiter with this probe, and they said, okay, what are we going to find when we get there, if you're, if you can see so far? And he wrote down this stuff, that they would find a ring around it, and they're like, no, 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 you got it wrong. We're not going to Saturn, we're going to Jupiter. He's like, no, I'm telling you, on Jupiter, there's going to be rings. And he described them wonderfully, really wonderfully. And they'd never been discovered before. It is the longest confirmed remote viewing. And that kind of information is really stunning. Yes, he was a brilliant man. Yes, he studied space. Yes, he studied all these things. And because he was so smart about space, maybe there's a statistical chance that, greater chance that he could have guessed accurately. You could do all of that stuff you want. But the fact that he saw the rings around Jupiter is stunning. If it was just that alone, it would be, wow, that's stunning. But when you look at the list of things that he did under laboratory conditions, it's absolutely amazing and should remind us all about our potential. So I'm going to show you just a few of these things that he did confirmed in laboratories. He affected infrared film. And this is a really fascinating story. There's an infrared camera, and I forget exactly who the researcher was who worked with him on it, but I've got the video link here. And they were taking pictures of Ingo, and he said, I will make a light appear over my hand. And the light would appear over his hand in the footage. And he'd say, okay, I want the light to appear above my head. Then the light would appear above his head in the footage. Stunning. How, he did that, I think I'll leave that up to you to decide. He could affect lie detectors. He can make all the different aspects of it move while connected to it, and could make other people's, someone else hooked up to a lie detector's stuff be affected. He could affect plant and crystal growth rates. There's a study that's I have in our works here that it's from the CIA, where the CIA actually captured the study and kept it, about his ability to do just that. And he worked with a scientist about just some amazing stuff about plant and human interaction and the effect of consciousness on plants. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. Also, INGO SWANN famously affected that shielded quark detector. That's one of the most famous stories about INGO. It's one of the most shielded devices, scientific devices at the time in the world, one of the most shielded. And he was able to affect it, make it go off. He could affect the calorimeters, like I told you guys, and then he could also affect random number generators. And those were done under, tests were done under very strict scientific protocols. And once again, the CIA captured that report. And now you can see in the CIA reading room that they were interested in that. So INGO had a lot of abilities, and he gave us a glimpse into what we can do, we all can do. And he did it with such a graceful spirit and such an inquisitive nature and such amazing raw talent. And I think it's his passing is January 31st. So on the 31st, I think we should think about INGO and think about the power of our minds. And why don't we try to improve our abilities? There's a lot of ways that you can, and it would be our pleasure to help you guys. So just email us at alienprotocols@gmail.com, and it would be a pleasure to send you any of the information we have, from remote viewing tips to ESP, meditation, CE5, herbs that help meditation and psychic stuff, astral travel, and much more. And please check out some of these paintings that INGO did. A lot of them are based on psychic ability, ESP, and ESP visions. So I think you'll find them very meaningful. And here's a couple quotes from Ingo. People fit the unknown with what fits their known. Look how beautiful this painting is. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Unbelievable. And he signed all of his paintings with an ankh. I don't know if you can see the ankh there on the bottom. And finally, we'll leave you with this final image of him in this wonderful little quote from Ingo that kind of reveals his personality. Well, insignificant little moi might observe that the world turns more on belief than knowledge. Rest in peace, Ingo. Thank you for everything. Much love to all.